wants to come up.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I hope you don't give me a bad grade for this one. I know I'm a breathing, moving, talking, and functioning human being. All of others look at me as being different than they are. Life is like a movie that I watch but cannot participate in. These words were stated by Wendy Lawson, who's living with autism. She is one of the many who suffer from this complex, misunderstood condition. Autism is a complex developmental disability which affects one's communication, interaction with others, and associates with lack of change in thoughts and actions. Its severity can differ from person to person, but its effect can also vary for each individual that depends on their personal context and their emotional state. As of today, 1 out of 150 children are suffering from autism. This is more than pediatric diabetes, AIDS, and cancer combined. This is why it is important that we learn more about the autism spectrum, as the earlier we detect this complex disorder, the better the chance that our children will lead full, normal lives into adulthood. This disorder first appeared in 1911 by Swiss psychiatrist Eugen Fehler, who first discovered the term, but they classified it with a form of adult schizophrenia. In 1943, Johns Hopkins University researcher Dr. Leo Kanner was the first to classify its symptoms. The same year, Dr. Hans Asperger discovered a milder form of autism, which is called Asperger's syndrome. This is why it appears that autism affects males more than females, but females have more severe symptoms than their male counterparts. Autism has been described as a hidden disability which affects all aspects of a person's everyday being. This includes social inclusion, unique abilities, and needs which vary for each person, though everyone who has ASD has common symptoms. The autism spectrum has 5 classifications that range from mild to severe. With Asperger's syndrome, PDD, NOS, Rett syndrome, childhood degenerative disorder, and classic autism. Their symptoms vary from person to person, and no child is exactly alike, which is why the autism spectrum is difficult to detect until after the age of 2. Its symptoms can range from mild to severe, with some people who do not appear to have any psychological or physical symptoms. Because autism is considered a spectrum, each person who has it has different symptoms, as one is not exactly alike. Some of the symptoms include social communication issues, which have delayed and unusual speech patterns, high-pitched or flat intonation, lack of slang or kid speak, sensory and motor skills. Many who have autism have hyper or hyposensitivities, which include light, sound, and crowds. This results in covering their ears, avoiding or not reacting well to areas that are heavily lighted, and or even such actions as crashing into sofas and chairs, and also craving very strong bear hugs. It is unusual, though, to find an autistic person who is physically disabled. That is caused by the disorder, but many people with autism have some level of fine and gross motor difficulties. This means that it can result in poor handwriting, difficulty with athletic coordination, and so on. This results as people with autism will join sports such as running or swimming. Personality differences which engage in repetitive behavior and ritualized activities, ranging from lining up items to following a rigid routine, having one or few personal interests, having difficulty in making and keeping multiple friends. Prefer activities that require relatively little verbal interaction. Not all symptoms are the same, along with that there are no real clear factors as to who's at risk for this disability. There are several theories as to who's at risk for autism. Some say it's genetics from the parents, breech-born babies, families that have a history of schizophrenia, born more than 5 weeks premature, and or has a low APGAR score of 5 minutes after birth. Some even say that certain vaccines, such as the MMR, have caused some children to be autistic. Nobody really knows the actual cause or who's really at risk. Medical studies are still in the works to find the actual cause of autism spectrum in order to find an all-around cure for this neurological disorder. Sorry. This can put a major impact on families, especially when they first learn of their children's condition. Families of children with autism are affected in many different ways, as most insurance providers do not cover for treatments and therapies that they require. Many stress over the financial concerns to care for their child. They also feel that they have done something wrong, along with shock, anger, and relief. It is difficult for siblings and extended family members as well, because they are feeling like they are competing for the attention of their parents or family members. Feel at fault for the sibling or family member having the condition. With parents, there is a whole new level of stress over medical bills, treatments, and strains on the relationship. Sometimes, though, this can bring an entire family together. Siblings gain more responsibility and compassion, and they become more mature. So the reaction amongst families vary depending on the family. With the family working together and with the doctors, they can find several effective treatments to help their children live to their fullest potential. Here are the treatments for autism. The treatments range from speech therapy, behavioral therapy, drug therapy, and complementary appendices, which include diet change, usually to do with gluten and dairy-free diets, sensory interaction, floor play, play therapy, so on, and hyperbaric chamber treatments. Some say that hyperbaric treatments actually do a world of good for these children, but it can be very costly and time-consuming. With a combination of these treatments, it's mostly their decreased symptoms have risen. Autism comes in many forms. There are no racial, ethnic, or financial background. Remember that 1 out of 150 children are living with autism, which is more than those who are suffering from any childhood disorder. And this can bring families together or tear them apart. We have to start understanding the condition instead of speculate in order to determine the specific problem with their child. With the proper treatment, the child will improve dramatically. This is not only to assist them in their personal situation, but to help them achieve their futures. I'm through.